Hi there, and today I'm going to be changing the oil on my Total Alphard Series 1. It's the same for all the Alphards, I would imagine, not much in it. So the first thing I've done is I've chocked the rear wheels up just to make sure it's not going to move, and I've put the handbrake on. I've tried to put the car as level a position as possible. This is on a slight slope, so it's perfect for me. I've jacked up the car from the sill over there just to allow me to slide under a jack onto there and support it. Then I've taken up some of the pressure off that one. I've put another one on there which isn't actually engaging, but it's just there just in case everything goes terribly wrong. So I keep that one there, and also I keep this one under pressure as well, so that they're all ready to hold just in case there's any problems. So always handbrake, safety first, keep everything running. I've got this little insulation sheet, which is like a rubber-based adhesive sheet. I just use it just to stop the oil going all over the place. And here I have my bits and pieces for removing oil filters. So that's the oil filter I'm going to use, which is a W71283 by MAN, which fits this particular vehicle, same as the RX300. And then you have a series of different tools you can use. This is a ratchet one, which grabs on and basically ratchets on until it locks in. You attach your ratchet on, locks in there. I find it a little bit fiddly. You've got these type ones, which are designed for a particular filter, and you've got these ones which are quite nice. They're like a bicycle ratchet, so again it ratchets on and then it locks on and basically bites into this thing here. So it bites in, and that allows easy removal. You've got this rubbery one here, which again is a ratchet style system, so you're basically fitting on, ratcheting on. I find when they've got oil on this, it can be a little bit awkward. So the one I like is this one here, which is custom made for this particular unit. So it goes on, it locks on, you tie your ratchet onto there, you ratchet it off. So how do you know which one to get? Well, you have to count the amount of flutes on this. In this particular case, got 14. And you check the diameter, so it's if you can just, let me just rotate this round, and you can see it's a 76/14, and that fits, that fits this one nice and snug. Okay, so if you're going to be keeping Toyota Alphard for a while, this is a nice one to use because it's just straightforward. Ratchet just goes in there, takes it off. Okay, no faffing around, no worrying about oil being on the sides and making it slippy. The other thing you need is, you'll need one of these vesicles or these compartments to catch the oil, and you'll need a place to dispense of the oil as well, which is your local dump. What I tend to do is I pour this into a 20-litre old drum and just store it in there until I take it all in the water. The next thing you need is the right oil for the car. So there's many different types of oils for this vehicle, but what you want to go for is a 5W30, and that's the one that I will be using for this particular car with the Magnatech 5W30A5 gasoline and diesel engines, 4 litres there. I buy 2 of them because I think it takes about 5 litres. I could be wrong. At the end of this video I will let you know how many litres it takes. I'll give you a little bit of information of what I found as I'm doing this job. So to make sure that you've got the right one, go into the back of it, because there is another set as well for Nissans, etc. So you want to check this and make sure it's ticked off on Toyota, and Toyota is ticked off there, so that's fine. If you're unsure, you can go into the Castrol site, or something they have it there, and it will tell you if it fits the Toyota Alphard. So back to the vehicles, we're going to go underneath, and I'm going to look for the sump. Here we go, and this is the one that you're going to be removing the oil out of, and that is engine oil. Now you have one over here which also has a bit of oil in it, and that is, actually that's a Dynatol, but you'll see it's got a little Allen key on this one, and that's the transmission oil. So you want to make sure that you go for the one which has the bolt on it. Okay, and that's the one over there. That's it there. Okay, it's on the driver's side, so that will be coming out, and it's going to drop the oil into here. Now I've always found that oil goes everywhere, so I keep this little pad here just to catch anything. Easier to wipe it off than wiping it off cloths and stuff like that, because it just goes everywhere if you get it wrong. So I've warmed up the engine oil so it's nice and warm, and I'm going to remove that bolt. And of course it's just a nice standard procedure. Remove the bolt and just drop the oil in there. Because I'm doing this for myself, I'm not going to be able to show you the bolt removal, but it's just basically turn the bolt anti-clockwise, right for tightening it up, and a left for loosening it. Okay, so make sure you know which way you're turning it before you loosen that bolt. Okay, you'll need that bolt here, so don't let go of that. When you take it out, just take it a nice smooth move, loosen it completely, hold it in place, and you just pull it out, and that will drop the oil. So that's what I'm going to do just now. And again, at the end of this, that will give you all the little add-on bits that I've forgotten to tell you about. So let's just do that just now. So this is the part which I never ever enjoy doing, which is just releasing the oil. So there you can see I'm untightening the bolt, but I'm holding pressure against it until I'm sure it's completely loose. Now I'm going to drop some of this, I'm quite sure. So it's just do it extra times until you're 100% sure it's loose, and then flick it through, and there you go. Okay, keep the bolt in your hand, you'll be needing that later, and you can see the oil will just drop through into your compartment. Again, just watch this, because sometimes the oil can drop down faster than it can actually dissipate, so therefore you could end up with a little flood. You'll get some little drops there, but essentially that is it, and that's a nice black oil coming out. Now when you take that, you want to look at the end of your magnet here to make sure there's no bits and pieces of metal and debris on there. Of course, wear gloves, because that wasn't a very smart thing. I should have been having my gloves on. So always wear gloves when handling chemicals. So I'm going to go and wash my hands and get rid of this stuff. Now over here you'll see the little copper washer, which is there, so it's shiny, etc. So this thing needs to be replaced with a new one, and that's a crush washer. So basically it crushes it into shape and it forms a nice good seal in it. So that's what we need to do, is get another one of these new crush washers and pop it in. As you can see, we've got the oil now dripping from that. It's just loosened off, and the excess oil will just drop straight into our container there. So we try and keep everything down to minimal amount of spillage. Which I've started doing is actually just taking a spray can, or using a touch-up paint, spraying it into with a spray can, and just spray it into the lid, and take a matchstick and then write down the miles of the car. So in this particular case 172402, and it was changed in August 2021, which is just now. Castrol 5W30 Magnatech, and that's when I put that on, so that when I change, I know when to change it, and it's on the front surface so it can all be seen. And the next thing, which is controversial, is whether to actually fill this up with oil before or after. So you can read a lot on the benefits of filling with oil before sealing it over, or just leaving as it is. But one thing to make sure is you put a layer of oil across here to help form the seal just before you tighten it up. Okay, that will just soften that in and just help to form the seal. You can read up a lot on whether to put oil in here or not to put in oil. There's pages and pages to read up on the internet, but I find if it takes you less than 20 seconds to put oil in there, just put oil in there, be done with it, and who cares. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just pop some oil, run a bit of oil around the edges there, and then what I will do is just screw it back in. As simple as that. I'll do that just now. So what I've done next is that I've cleaned out this this funnel by running this tissue paper right through it to make sure there's absolutely no debris from the previous oil removals and additions, etc. And I've also wiped the dipstick clean, so that when it comes out there should be nothing on it. So let's just have a look. Where is it? There you go. Just a smidgen on the end of it, but nothing really on there. Okay, see the two dots, and we're going to try and get it just to that second dot. Okay, and there you can see the wee dimples, which I don't know if you can see that. That's where the oil retains when it's when it gets to that level. So I'm going to pop that in, and I'm going to put my first 4 litres straight into that area there. Okay, now the car's still on the jacks because I want to go and have a look under to make sure that nothing's dropping out, just as an additional safety check. So I'm going to do that, pop the first 4 litres in, and then I'll go slower after that. So the filter is now attached on the car, and I've made it hand tight. But when you do it hand tight, make sure it's hand tight, not just loosely hand tight. Just tighten it by hand. You don't need to attach any tools on it. Don't need to use a wrench, and that will do. And now what I'm doing is just, I've done the 4 litres in, and I'm just now adding a little bit at a time and just letting it settle until I see it touching the bottom of that dipstick. I'll turn the engine over when I see it starting to approach the correct line, and just allow the oil to settle, and I'll give it a few moments to settle, and then keep on doing it until I'm happy with the oil level, and then I'll check it again after the first drive just to make sure that we're still happy. I'll keep the oil in the car just in case I need to top it up along with the funnel that I've got there. Okay, and of course remember to put the lid on before you start the engine and stuff like that. Okay, so that's essentially how you change the oil. The next time you change your oil, hopefully it's going to be less than 10,000 miles and a year on in the nice warm weather. Thank you so much, and I said I would just let you know my little hints and tips at the end of this. And first is that the bolt at the bottom of the sump is a 14mm bolt, so that's easy to remove. I would use this a 6-point to remove that, so you don't round it off accidentally. And the other thing I'd also mention is that always have lots of kitchen towel just to have little spills wiped up. And that is more or less all the tips for this particular vehicle, and I hope you've had fun watching that. Hope you've learned something. I mentioned the copper washers, and you can see what the copper washer does, and you look at it very closely, you can see this shiny part is where the actual bolt has bitten into the actual copper, which is very soft, and this other part which mates onto the actual oil sump will fit perfectly. It'll be crushed up against that. The reason why it's not got a shiny circle like that is because it's a flat surface, it's not biting in. So you can buy these copper washers in little packs. This was for a Jaguar, but as long as it fits the bolt, it doesn't matter. Or you can just go for this and just buy a whole bunch of them and just save yourself the hassle of finding the right one for different vehicles. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that back on with the new washer, which will fit like so, and you just make sure that it doesn't have a gap where the oil can go through. So we're just making sure that it can go all the way through without any little hole appearing. I'll just show you what I mean if I've got a bigger one. Let's use that one. Can you see there? You can see a little gap there. So you don't want that. You want it to actually fit like that, and even if it slips, you don't want to have that gap. So better to go for a smaller one like that, which can move around, or anything which is going to not allow that gap to appear. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw this old one away. Okay, so I'm going to bolt that back in. The oil has stopped dripping. That's just left it for about 5 minutes. Made myself a cup of tea, and I'm going to tighten that up and make sure it's sufficiently tight, not too tight, so it just bites into the copper and forms a nice surface with that. And then what I tend to do is I leave it there for about a minute or so it forms a shape, and just do a little bit more tightening, and that allows the metal which is being crushed to just keep on crushing until it forms the right shape, and a little bit more tightening, and then I'm happy with it being tight enough. So you can now see the position of that filter there, and we've got this this thing here, which is going to clip over, and we're going to remove the filter. And once the filter is removed, I'm just going to drop it straight into this little container here, because it will still contain oil. And that's what we want to do, is just contain that and just drop it into there, and that will be that done.